live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. This is Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. This news is live from our studios here in Kokomlemle, Accra, Ghana. Coming up this hour, the chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, Samuel Atacha, is charging the Ministry of Finance and the Electricity Company of Ghana to come up with a roadmap to deal with the debt owed the IPPs. Details as the Electricity Company of Ghana's own work plan reveals that out of 10 billion cedis worth of power produced in 2022, it was only able to collect 7 billion cedis. Now, also in this bulletin, strong push from traditional authorities in the Assin North constituency urging the President and the Attorney General to drop criminal charges against James Agyapong. More as minority threatening to boycott government business whenever Agyapong attends court for his criminal trial after he was sworn in as MP Tuesday. Now, traditional authorities in the Assin North constituency are making a fresh and strong push to President Akufo-Addo and the Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame to drop criminal charges against their MP James Agyapong. It comes on the day Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin swore into office the latest addition to Parliament, James Agyapong, with former President John Mahama leading a high-powered NDC delegation to witness the ceremony. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante now reports.
All who mattered in the NDC were in Parliament to witness the swearing-in of James Agyapong with former President John Mahama and the NDC chairman Assin North leading the pack. The public gallery was packed with traditional rulers and NDC supporters. At some point, Parliament was almost turned into an NDC rally ground. Since Agyapong was elected last week, NDC MPs have always come to the floor wearing white. Today was no exception. Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin administered the oath to the MP.
I, James Agyapong, having been elected a member of Parliament, do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
Do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
The minority in Parliament are now warning if the criminal charges against Agyapong are not dropped, cooperation will suffer in Parliament.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to serve notice. Mr. Speaker, I wish to serve notice that the entire minority group will accompany our colleague to court today and any other day that he is to appear in court. Mr. Speaker, we are solidarizing with our colleague and we will not participate in the business of the House anytime our colleague is in court, and we will be withdrawing from the chamber after this ceremony if the court processes indeed happens today. Mr. Speaker, amid persecution, cooperation will certainly suffer.
We shall continue to attend every court hearing with him in the full complement of our strength in the House. And this we shall extend to the court hearings of the minority leader himself, Honorable Atuforsin, Honorable Collins Dauda, and any other member of the minority who is currently being prosecuted.
Traditional leaders in Assin North have also added their voice.
Enti yesre omanpani ne atomic general say omomodin na omuntwa sa ensam a ekoso ni nyina mu efi se enya bawi yewura question ono na edi yanum kan.
But Majority Leader Osei Sabonsu says this decision will be made by the Attorney General.
The choice of the people of Assin North, and we must, everybody must. The rest of it is in the hands of the Attorney General. Mr. Speaker, the rest of it, as we move from here, is in the hands of the Attorney General.
The pressure is now mounting with traditional rulers now getting on board and asking the Attorney General on the president to drop the criminal charges against Agyapong. The ball is now in the court of the president and the attorney general. They have to make this decision. Today we heard from a leading member of the New Patriotic Party who has been calling on the attorney general, like other people, including the Domahine, that is Honorable Agyapong, who himself is the former attorney general, asking for these charges to be dropped so that Agyapong can focus on his job in Parliament so that the country can move on in tranquility. But it was a big day in the House today with Agyapong being sworn in as a member of Parliament. Last week we expected that a swearing-in ceremony would have taken place, but the delay in the EC transmitting the rate of election delayed it, and today Agyapong finally had his day, taking his seat in the hallowed chambers of Parliament. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Well, let's dwell more on the threat by the minority to boycott the proceedings in the House anytime the Honorable James Agyapong goes to court. Joining us for a discussion on this story is Dr. Rashid, Rahman, who is Executive Director of the African Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Doc, I'm grateful for joining us here, and he's joining us via Zoom now. Doc, what do you make of this threat by the minority that anytime James Agyapong goes to court, they will also boycott proceedings in the House?
It's a very interesting development. First of all, I think the health of every democracy is measured by two things. Either the underperformance of an opposition party or its overreaction, excessive reaction to matters that concern a democracy. So in the case of the NDC, I think let's remember that the NDC is not a permanent opposition party. The NDC is likely to form the next government. So, you know, in either kind of situation, Ghanaians are going to carefully judge it by either underperforming or overreacting. And I think in this matter, we are in the realm of, you know, overreaction. How is the business of the House and the business of our country going to go on if the entire minority caucus decide to move to the Supreme Court? How are Ghanaians going to view this action by the opposition party? So I think for me, it's a strategy that is, I mean, well in their right. But, you know, some balance need to be struck very, very carefully so that, you know, the strategy doesn't come back to hunt the minority group.
Someone would say, isn't this a bad precedent being set by the minority when this matter is being prosecuted by the court?
Indeed, I think that's a legitimate question that I mean, people might ask. And again, like I said, the NDC is not a permanent opposition party. In some countries, we have parties that do not have the slimmest chance of forming a government. I mean, we know in our country that, I mean, the NDC will certainly form a government someday. And you want to make sure that, you know, you strike a very careful balance so that tomorrow you are not faced with questions that will be very difficult for a future NDC Attorney General to answer.
So, with your experience in parliamentary affairs, what's your estimation of how this matter should be resolved?
Well, I think, again, that's why I'm urging caution. I don't know whether they have exhausted all the mechanisms, because the honorable member has just been sworn in today. I don't know what discussions have taken place in Parliament amongst the leadership of Parliament. I know over the years, they have the capacity to come together to resolve, their differences. Albeit in this particular case, we are dealing with a parliament that is split in the middle, and the stakes are very high. Mm-hmm. Nonetheless, I think it's important, particularly at this time in the history of our country, where many people are asking the question, where is Parliament? When our country was going through, getting to the point we are at the moment. And I think most of the blame goes to the party that's in power, but the opposition cannot escape some of that blame, because it has a role in providing alternatives. It has a role in making sure that it scrutinizes all government business that comes before the House. So I think, for me, just staying away from the business of the House might be a very difficult call, because they ought to be there to provide the alternatives that Ghanaians are yearning for.
Okay.
And so on and so forth.
Grateful to you, Dr. Rahman, for joining us here. Now, also joining us on this particular discussion is Head of the Political Science Department for the University of Ghana, Professor Aidoo Aidoo. Grateful to you for joining us. Now, doesn't this amount to the minority holding the government to ransom?
Well, technically yes and no. When you look at democracy, it is more about compromise and consensus building. And when you want to build consensus, there are a lot of tools, strategies, and mechanisms that may be at your disposal. And you deploy them depending on the circumstances and depending on the level of people, kind of people you are dealing with. So here is the case that Parliament is evenly divided between the minority and the majority. And there are a lot of government business that needs a certain number of quorum to be able to meet before those businesses can be prosecuted. And as it stands now, the NPP is government in power, and the NPP prosecutes government business now. They have policies, programs, and projects that they want to prosecute, to get people who put confidence in them, but also to leave a legacy as a government in power. So it is very important to them that Parliament sits on very important, crucial issues and policies and decisions that they want to prosecute moving forward. So if government wants the entire House to be there or to build quorum on some of these essential issues, then it has to reach out. It means it has to have the minority in Parliament at all the time that these bills or motions are going to be passed. The NDC as a minority may have very little to lose, because now they are only waiting for government to do what is right to be able to get it elected.
Okay.
And we always say in political science terms that every election is a census on the performance of the incumbent government. And the incumbent government would definitely need a very united or a very balanced, to some extent, even a quorum-oriented parliament to be able to get some of these bills and motions passed through. So basically, maybe what the opposition is demanding is that government, not specifically the majority in parliament, but the majority in parliament can work through the NPP government to be able to reach a compromise and they build a consensus where their colleague prosecution may be discontinued in return for their cooperation in parliament. But the danger or the sad thing or the difficulty, let me say, the difficulty about this is that the majority members in parliament doesn't have the power to do it. They will have to rely on government. This is the decision of the Attorney General. And the Attorney General's decision and choices are bounded by what? Cabinet decision. So his position is both what? Political, but at the same time prosecutorial. So where the political doesn't build consensus, it may be very difficult for him alone to be able to do. So it's a very tough call on the majority leadership in Parliament to be able to reach out to the government through the Attorney General through government to be able to see how this can be done. Where it becomes difficult, I'm not sure what their next step may be, but it has always been documented. It's part of history in this country that opposition members in Parliament have often used boycott as a form of tool to get their demands met, to get their concerns addressed. And this is another form of boycott. Whenever our colleague is summoned to court, all of us will follow him.
Okay, all right,
and
Prof.
in that, the government business will not take place.
Okay, Prof. I'm grateful for your thought on our show this evening. Now, whilst James Agyapong was being sworn in Parliament, he was at the same time expected to be in court for the continuation of his criminal trial. But the court adjourned his trial to the 6th of July. This was after the Speaker of Parliament served notice to the court that the accused is on a national assignment and would be unavailable for the trial. Lawyers for the state and the accused agreed for the trial to be adjourned for Mr. Kwabena to be sworn in as an MP. Richard was in court today.
In court on Tuesday, lawyer for James Agyapong, Chachichi Kata, indicated that the MP was on a national assignment and thus cannot be present in court. His position was supported by the state prosecutors. They readily agreed that the swearing in of the MP-elect then was very significant and that the excuse was genuine. The presiding judge indicated that the court had been served with some document from the Speaker of Parliament stating that Mr. Kwabena was being sworn in, a national assignment that he needed to comply. Director Legal of the NDC, Abraham Amaliba, indicated that they aren't afraid of the trial, but all they are seeking is fairness.
So we are going to argue the motion out. Don't forget that today will have been the arguments, but this has been adjourned to the 6th. We intend to put in a strong case. We are not afraid of the trial. What we don't want is for the state to use its might to re-rule the process so that our client will go to jail. We want the processes to be fair. We are not saying that we won't come and stand trial, but for the daily hearings, that is what we are against. And no criminal in this country, an accused person rather, has been brought to court every day. Why should he be questioned? And so that's what we are against. Just that the Attorney General does not understand his role. His role as an Attorney General is to prosecute on behalf of the Republic. And the people of this country are the custodians of the sovereignty. So if a Ghanaian feels that it's a complete waste of time to continue prosecuting the MP-elect and voices out that the Attorney General should use his power of knowledge, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Deputy Attorney General Alfred Chiayabua stated that the AG's office is unfazed by criticisms and they will discharge their duties to protect the Constitution and the laws of Ghana.
I think the judge also made known to us that the Speaker of Parliament had written a letter to the court. We went through the letter and we have the considered view that a request for an adjournment is in the right direction. So that's how come we never opposed the request for an adjournment.
Do you harbor any fears that this may become a norm in this particular trial?
We hope it does not become a norm. You may be an MP, that's all right. But if you have a matter in court, you must also be in court. Because you have two arms of government, the legislature, in fact, the two arms, the legislature and then the judiciary. If you have an assignment to perform in Parliament, you do it. If you have an assignment or a duty to also perform in the court, you also do it. You cannot say because you have an assignment in Parliament all the time, the court should not go on dealing with these matters. That would not be proper.
Mr. James Agyapong is back in court on Thursday, the 6th of July, 2023. Reporting from the court complex, Richard for Joy News.
Now, an NPP flag-bearer hopeful, Alan Kwajo says Ghana's current IMF deal could have been avoided if his adheres on the President's Special Initiative, PSI, introduced under former President John Agyemang Kufuor, had been accepted by Ghanaians. He was speaking at the commencement of his Greater Accra delegate tour in the Ablekuma constituency in Accra. There is more in the following report.
This was the level of euphoria that greeted the campaign team of the New Patriotic Party's flag-bearer hopeful, Alan Kojo Tremanten, Tuesday, when he toured constituencies with his message at Dromiso. Speaking to the teeming crowd at the commencement of his Greater Accra Regional Constituency Delegates Tour in the Ablekuma West constituency, the NPP Flagbearer hopeful noted the country's current IMF deal could have been avoided if his proposal on the economy were taken serious.
I was one of the senior ministers in Kufuor's administration. I had excellent ideas, and if Ghanaians had listened to me, we wouldn't have gone to the IMF.
To boost the morale of hard-working delegates of the party, he promised to institute a social security and salary structure for all party executives when giving the nod. But some of the delegates doubt his ability to carry out that plan.
As a delegate, I'm very happy about it. But the other it will be material is another problem. If a delegate, the way we are calling for the party, day and night, all the time we campaign, in such opportunity will come on our favor. I think it's a good agenda, or it's a good call. So we hope when you get the north, you can also face public plan. It's important to read the justice. It's very, very important. But some people in the rural areas who doesn't benefit any activity at all when the party moves. So if I is a delegate, and something. That is a good call. That's how I see it. There has been a long standing with the party, and it is time to take off. So we, the delegates, we are here to listen to everyone. He has delivered it, so I will go to the house and digest it. And at the end of the day, whatever the majority of the delegates decide, that's the person who wins. For me alone, I'm one person. So even if I decide to vote for him, I'm one person. But the majority will decide. Because I have a lot of respect for Tibala. Because he has been in the party for a very long time. For a very long time. But listen to him today as a party police station executive. With all due respect, his message did not move at all. Because I was expecting something different. Because looking at his caliber and the way he has been in the party for a very long time, I thought he was going to say something. This message that he has been in the party for a very long time, we have been hearing it. He didn't say anything different. It's the same thing as He didn't say anything. I'm a delegate myself.
Meanwhile, party stalwarts, including Ayikwe Otu, constituency executives, and some MPs, took turns to urge delegates to throw their support behind Alan Tremanten. After visiting 9 constituencies on day 1, the A4P takes its message to other parts of the Greater Accra region on Wednesday. For Joy News, I'm Carlos Caloni.
Let's stay with politics because former General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party, Kwabena Agyapong, is challenging delegates to vote for a leader who has served with dedication, values and principles in the party. According to him, the decision of the delegates in the upcoming Flagbearer elections will affect the generations unborn, a reason they have to be circumspect. He made this assertion after taking his stand to face the vetting committee of the NPP. Samuel Mbura of our political desk has more in this report.
The former General Secretary of the NPP, Kwabena Agyapong, was held by the vetting committee chaired by Professor Mike Aaron Okwe for close to 2 hours. After the closed-door engagement, he assured the media that it was a fruitful conversation and he was sure of progressing to the next stage. Although he would not disclose the details of the vetting, Mr. Agyapong reminded delegates in the party that this is the time to instill substance into the body politics of the country and not elect persons with selfish interests.
Our delegates know that they have their birthright. They know they are voting for generations unborn. So it is time for them to vote values, principles, dedication and sacrifice. These are the new tenets that should be the backbone and the foundation of politics in Ghana, not monetization. Okay, so we need to ensure, to instill substance, to our politics. We need to instill goodwill. We need public-spirited individuals who are prepared to die for our country, not to go in there for individual aggrandizement. That's not what I stand for. Everybody knows my record. Everybody knows my record. I've served President Kufuor for close to 6 years.
The outspoken former General Secretary also impressed upon the national executives of the NPP to ensure an even-handed election process to facilitate unity in the party.
Well, my advice to the national executive, I've been a General Secretary myself, when you have an even-handed process and it produces a leader, and it facilitates unity amongst us, and I think that as a political party, NPP, we have the numbers. If we are a cohesive unit, we are united, and we have a decent, fair process, and then the chances that we can really win in 2024 gets enhanced. So that's what I would like to say.
One other aspirant who had his turn was former Energy Minister, Kwabena Agyapong. He was later discharged after an hour and a half of scrutiny on his documents he presented before the committee. He, however, declined media engagements, stating that it was a standard practice in the party for aspirants not to grant interviews after vetting. Assin Central MP, Kwabena Agyapong, was the last aspirant to be vetted on the day 2 of the exercise. The vetting continues on Wednesday with Dr. Kofi Konadu-Apreku, Joe Gatti, and former Agric Minister Dr. Efia Akoto expected to face the committee. For Joy News, Samuel Mbura.
Well, let's talk about IPPs now. And from the chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, Samuel Atacha, is charging the Ministry of Finance and Electricity Company of Ghana to, as a matter of urgency, come up with a plan of action in clearing the debt owed the IPPs. More of that and more coming up next year after the break. Welcome back from the break. Now, the chairman of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, Samuel Atacha, is charging the Ministry of Finance and the Electricity Company of Ghana to, as a matter of urgency, come up with a roadmap to resolve the issue between the independent power producers and the government regarding the debt owed the IPPs. According to him, this will prevent a potential doomsday situation in the country. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, the Electricity Company of Ghana says its current state makes it practically impossible to settle the $2 billion legacy debt in the energy sector. The admission is contained in the ECG's work plan for 2023. Even worse is the revelation that out of 10 billion cedis of electricity sold in 2020, ECG was able to collect only 7 billion cedis. On PM Express last night, ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jenapo, said Parliament is not taking lightly the financial state of ECG.
Where is it sitting? That is important. You cannot ring fence something and leave it at bay. You must ring fence it, which means that you are taking it off your balance sheet, like we did with the legacy debt. We had a special purpose vehicle called ESLA PLC. Ring fence the debt, transfer that liability to ESLA PLC, and the receivables from the ESLA levies is used to handle that liability. So if I'm hearing today that we are ring fencing, very, very uncertain. Anyway, I have spoken to the committee chairman. We will take this up at Parliament. I can understand that they are very hesitant to give you information. Going forward, what bills are you going to be paying? We know the monthly bills. Are you going to pay 100% of that bills, knowing that you cannot? But that is a fact. ECG in its current state cannot pay 100% of power that it buys. I have the latest ECG reports, and I'll just go to the document. ECG 2023 Work Plan for Parliamentary Select Committee, page 3 of 36. This was presented by the current ECGM. If you look at 2022, their sales, I'm not talking of purchases, because purchases could be another matter. I'm talking of what they sold. They sold 10 billion and collected about 7 billion. So there's a 3 billion gap in terms of collection. And this collection includes arrears not staying current, because this coalition includes people who owed previously, and through very aggressive measures that the current MD is taking, and maybe his predecessor, it does appear that they are recouping something.
But the managing director of the ECG, Samuel Dubek Mahama, says measures adopted by the company will see a significant improvement this year.
What I'm saying to you is this. As of now, the company's fortunes are turning around.
Yeah, but that question, can you answer directly?
So I'm going to answer you directly. As Elikwinim told you, we are going to pay them exactly what we promised that we were going to pay
100%?
them. But that's again, before that, you're going to be mischievous with that, because I initially told you that as is now, with the bills they are bringing, it is not sustainable. So we have started engaging them on these take or pay components to change the conversation from the amounts that they are talking about. Because to be honest with you, the figures they have now, they are not sustainable.
Okay, but you were talking about the remaining current. So at the end of July, when they bring you a bill,
it will be current.
Would you pay it in full?
It will be current.
In full?
Yeah,
100%.
Based on the understanding we have with all of them individually, yes.
Well, the chairman of Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee, Samuel Atacha, says the onus lies with the Finance Minister, Ken Oforiatta, and the MD of ECG, Samuel Dubek Mahama, to find a solution to the current IPP's debt challenge.
In fact, they met us last week in Koforidua when we were interrogating some issues concerning the agencies under the committee. Now, it has become very imperative that the Minister for Finance and also the boss of ECG and the committee should have a clear roadmap in trying to resolve this matter, because we don't want an ambulance situation in which maybe the government is being stampeded to do certain things, and then you can even call it that we are being blackmailed, that we go to they do such days. So we want to be very clear in our minds that how do we avert such a situation, and that is where we are. We really want to bring us three together, the Committee on Mines and Energy, the Minister for Finance, and the EC boss. And because they have, the IPPs have articulated their position to the committee so well, we are not in doubt at all as to what their problem is. What is important is the solution. And the solution, with the greatest of respect, will be with the Finance Minister and the electricity company boss.
To other stories now, and Medtech Medical Center says their facility is poised to help in reducing and eradicating maternal and child mortality and other diseases affecting patients in Ghana. The newly launched medical facility situated in Osu here in Accra is expected to offer an advanced technology-driven and affordable care services to patients. The medical director, Betty Atefua, says the hospital can boast of the state-of-the-art equipment to improve the health of Ghanaians.
This newly commissioned health facility, the Medtech Medical Center, has been situated to offer quality health care to the residents. It is expected to use advanced technologies in caring for patients. Managers of the facility say their primary objective is to educate women on maternal and child health. The co-founder, who doubles as the director, Dr. Dinah Brody-Menz, has been throwing more light on the facility.
We specialize in enhancing the well-being of the female reproductive system, including endocrinology, female urology, and pelvic malignancies. To reduce child mortality rates, we advocate for investments in disease prevention, routine immunizations, nutrition programs, and improved access to timely diagnosis and treatment for common childhood illnesses. Comprehensive health education programs targeting women, adolescents, and communities also enhances knowledge and awareness of maternal and child health. These programs cover family planning, safe pregnancy, nutrition, breastfeeding, hygiene practices, and recognizing danger signs during pregnancy and early childhood.
According to them, there's a need for increased investment in disease prevention, routine immunization, nutritional programs, and improved access to timely diagnosis. The medical director Dr. Betty Atefa indicated that awareness creation and education on maternal and child health could help prevent the many deaths being recorded.
People have needs, and your need might be different from the other person's needs. Someone will walk into the consulting room and the person will come with a whole different story than the next person. So we tailor-made all our treatments, consultations, and managements based on the person, the individual. And we rely on experts, we rely on evidence-based medicine. So that is what we use. That's what makes us unique.
A retired obstetrician and gynecologist who was the keynote speaker, Professor Sydney Adadevo, called for an early prevention, treatment of common childhood diseases as malaria, pneumonia and diarrhea to prevent mortalities.
To reduce maternal mortality and improve outcomes, access to skilled obstetric care, safe delivery practices, and postnatal care must be improved. Empowering women through family planning, reproductive health education, and comprehensive adolescent health services are also very crucial. This includes promoting contraceptive methods, providing counseling, and addressing reproductive health concerns.
Carrying Obein's report, read to you.